They began to show this is this is what I've been doing. This is what's referred to as the art of reading price action. Excitedly, they showed chart after chart. This is what this looks like. This is what that market did. And I saw these things happening before it happened. And this is the craft that's called trading, where an investor can take money, their own money, and buy and sell and profit from these fluctuations that is inside these charts. Isn't that amazing? They wanted to share that excitement, that pent up joy, because they've been laboring all by themselves in the quiet, in the stillness of the night, when everybody else was sleeping, preparing for another workday or preparing for a busy weekend. They were staring at charts. They were looking at fluctuations and patterns and trying to adopt the mindset of pattern recognition, seeking a model that they could employ day after day. This is what they're going to do. But strangely, as they spoke and shared their excitement, their audience began to withdraw. Strange looks of bewilderment passed over them, an odd glaze in their eye. They didn't understand one thing they were being told. They couldn't get it. Why would you be so excited about this? This is what you chose after being with us for so long, clubbing, all the high school years we spent partying, all the football games and rallies we would go, tailgating, cookouts with liquor, booze, and barely clad women. This is what you've been doing with your time? Wow. What happened to you? They thought. And here they are, sitting there, wondering, have they been wasting their time? All this time, have they been wasting it? What did they miss? What have they missed? Putting this much labor into doing this. Surely they have been doing something much greater than their labor has. There must be something that they have missed. And they started doubting the months and the weeks, maybe a year or so. They've invested in doing these and they trimmed off all this extracurricular activities, the unhealthy practices, the substance abuse, the running around and wasting money just for a romp in the sack. Have they made a mistake? Have they wasted and squandered their time and energy on a pipe dream? If it was that easy, everyone would be doing it, they said. What have you done with it so far? How much money have you made with it so far? And they slinked back, and the weight of those questions rested on them. The weight of not having the receipts yet pressed on them. And they looked around, looking for words to speak, and words escaped them. And their audience told them, see, you've been wasting your time. Perhaps you know this person. Perhaps you've met them before. Perhaps you've seen them today in the mirror, online, or just maybe you're that person. I wanted to talk to you about a couple things to encourage you before we go into the holiday season because this is my last space for 2025. And I want to remind you that all of you that had set in motion this pursuit on how you're going to learn how to use the things I teach, develop a model, work towards consistency, work towards profitability, and eventually carve out whatever future you have established for yourself as a goal. In the beginning, it's really important for you not to share those ideas with anyone because the world is drunk on its lies. Maybe some of you are still parents think. What would my spouse think? What would I think about myself? What if I wasted my time, my money, my effort doing all those things? That's what the world wrestles with daily. But something about you specifically, is different. Yes, you're aware that everybody has to have utility bills, no matter how much money you have. Everyone has those. You always have insurance. Time on this spinning rock that we get of any specific length in time. So you have to make the best of it while you can. And what you get in terms of rewards, success, is what you have placed in it in terms of effort and pursuit. And the majority of everyone in this world, they want it for free. They want a lottery win, something they didn't have to work for, but they deserve it. And you know enough about the world and yourself. You know that you have to go out there and get it. You can't wait for your ship to come in to pick you up. You got to swim out to it. Your pursuit of bettering yourself, bettering your family tree, building a legacy of wealth. You chose to do that. No one before you. You. You're the captain at the helm. You're the CEO. Everything's resting on your shoulders. And you made the conscious decision to work towards doing this. It was probably the easiest sell in the world the first time you saw it being done. I want to be able to do that. I want to be able to do what she just did. I want to do what he just did. I want to do what they're all doing. They're all speaking a language that I don't know, but I want to be a part of the conversation. I want to be among them because where I'm at right now in the world, it is lonesome. I have all these friends. I have all these coworkers. I have all these football games that I can pal around with, tailgating. But after the game, I'm right back in that same place, wanting more. It's a distraction. I want substance. I want better. And that's not wrong to feel that way. But your friends live under a different set of rules. Your coworkers live under a different set of rules. Your employers definitely live under a different set of rules. And family, well, they're a different dynamic altogether because you love them and you expect them to love you for what you're trying to do for yourself. You want them to encourage you. But surprisingly, when you share these things with them, you tell them, this is what I'm working hard for. Oh, is that college? Well, no, not really. Wow. That sounds like a waste. And as soon as you talk about what you could potentially make, and they ask you what you have made thus far, and you have nothing to show them. Those are the questions you don't want to be asked when you're first learning, because you have done the due diligence of placing those wants, those expectations ahead. You've placed them in the future. You are deferring instant gratification, a concept that the majority of people in the working class can't grasp. That's why credit card debt is so high, and bankruptcies are so high, and foreclosures are so high. Sure, they may have a fast car, looks great on the driveway, but you're losing your house. Sure, you had the best kicks on your feet right now. You're dressed to the nines, but you don't have any food in your pantry or your refrigerator. The grocery list is short. Half empty mayonnaise, a couple squirts left in the ketchup, no milk in the jug. So when you tell the world, while you're striving for it, while you're working for it, and you haven't obtained it yet, don't lose sight that the world has not adopted the mindset that you have before you began. You knew it wouldn't be right away as much as you want it to be, but you pressed that down deep. You pressed it down, you swallowed that. You said, I will defer that want. Let me see what I can do. Let me find myself in this. And you want your family, above all, you want your family to turn to you and say, wow, this is incredible. This is actually exciting. I'm excited for you. When you do well, can you show me how you did it? That's what you want to hear. That's what you want to experience, because it's hard to muster up the will, the power to get into this and stick with it, because it's dry. It's very, very boring stuff in the beginning, and it's fruitless for a long time, much like a college degree. But many in this world are willing to do all kinds of things academically, through sports, and through parents paying a large portion of those college tuitions with no hope, no guarantee that a high paying job in that field is waiting for you. But many students press themselves into that mold, and they dig down deep. I better do it. I better do it. I better do it. Stick to it. It's hard, but it's worth it. It's hard, but that job's not guaranteed. Your happiness doing that job is not guaranteed. But something about this, something in these charts resonated with you. Something spoke to you and said, this is for me. Far beyond just seeing someone make money with it. Something in this spoke in a deeper level. It tapped into something that you probably never realized about yourself, that you wanted more. More than those that love you, that you love, that have been friends with you for a majority of your life. Your coworkers that you've been placing the time clock as a mutual chain tethering you to the boss. You've known them for years. You wanted them to look at you and say, wow, that's incredible. Like, can you tell me more about that? But they're drunk. And because they're drunk, they're lost. They're stumbling through life. They don't know what they're doing from one minute to the next. and they're numbing themselves to the pain of just existing in a mundane existence, 9 to 5ing it, Monday through Friday. So it's not a surprise, or it shouldn't be a surprise to you when they lean in and they tell you with their whiskey whispers, you're going to lose. You're wasting your time. Don't let that affect you. Don't let it bother you. Remember, you're the one that's sober. You're the one that sees it as it really is. You knew this was going to be hard when you first started. You knew you were going to have to work for it. You didn't ask your family's permission to do this. You didn't ask your friends' support before you started. And you're not asking for your coworkers to encourage you to stay working there when you can afford not to be. Setting your mind to a task like this takes a great deal of willpower and focus and discipline. And you're going to have to love your friends and family from a distance. And don't always feel like you have to let them know what you're doing. There's nothing wrong about that because you're presently under construction. You're at work right now in the laboratory building this financial monster that's inside you. It is yet to be released because it's still incubating. And no one else is going to understand it like you. No one's going to appreciate the sheer power that it feels like when you have it in your hands, that you're wielding the foresight of knowing what price is going to do, and then it does it. And you know, by doing that over and over again, repetitively, you're acquiring a skill set that far too little in this population has the capacity to be able to do. But you've tasted it, you've felt it, you've seen what it feels like to wield that. And no one can convince you otherwise that this is for you. But don't let love and fellowship distort your focus. You have not arrived yet. You're still working in that direction, but allowing other people in and whispering doubts into you, whispering questions of whether or not this is really something that's going to work for you. You have to prevent those opportunities while you're focusing. These people whom you love, or maybe you are friends with them online. You don't know them, you never met them really, but they have a following and you want to be a part of their community. And maybe they found out because you've been open with them and honest, saying, yeah, I'm trying to learn these smart money concepts. I'm trying to do this ICT thing. What? That fraud? You're wasting your time listening to that guy? You're never going to get what you want on social media, sharing your own business, except for regret. Just this year alone in 2025, I want you to think about what a few of your peers in this community, what they've accomplished. And all of you know, I don't hold any hands. I don't say buy here, sell here, place a stop here, move your stop here. I don't do that. But all of you have access to the same material, the same content. And there's a large population of winning, consistently profitable traders that are students of mine that have no interest in coming forward on social media, least of all on X. They have no aspiring desire to do a mentorship of their own. They're not starting up discords. They're not starting up signal services. They're living their life now happily without their job, and they're doing quite well. And some of them are multimillionaires, and they've acquired that just in the last few years. The things that I've been teaching, they focused in on it. They cut out all the fat and said, okay, I'm going to get very focused about where I'm taking myself, and I'm going to limit the time and exposure to things that I know aren't going to build me up. I'm not going to waste time with all that stuff on the weekend, putting that stuff inside me, because I have things to focus on and I have to be clear headed. I have to be sober minded. Look what Kyle was able to do. Look what King was able to do. Candace, mhm, Sean, the list is growing. It's not just the boys anymore, is it? This is in your grasp, but you have to filter out all of the noise. Nobody here is a hero. Nobody here is worshipped. No one's looked up to as better or superior. That's the wrong mindset. You're not here to do that, to go out there and start clubbing people over the head. You stupid so and so, look what you're trading with. I know it seems like that when I'm talking about other schools of thought, but it's because I'm questioned about my opinion. Do I think that it's equal or it's on par with what I'm teaching? And there's nothing like that. There's nothing like what you're learning. It's so precise, it's so consistent, it's so reliable, but you have to get in line with it. You have to dial in to what it's showing you. And you have to find your place with your own personality, how you're going to equip yourself to get in sync with what the market's doing. And knowing that this is enough. When it does this, I look for that. And it's doing it at the right time, so I'm going to take action. And I'm only going to risk this much. And hopefully you're learning not to risk what you have on things that you don't need, which is a right now trade because you're bored, a right now win so I can show my family because they asked me to show them what I'm able to do with it right now. They haven't seen me for months. They don't see me on the weekends anymore. They don't see me on the evenings at the bar. I might lose them as a friend. And guess what? That actually might be a beneficial thing. I'll say it a different way. I was afraid I was going to lose my friends who really weren't my friends. When I was growing in success, making more money, and eventually leaving the workforce. It was lonely being like that. All my friends were still working. I didn't have to worry about going to bed at a certain time. I didn't have to worry about having a sleep schedule. I didn't have to worry about being somewhere at any given time. And I was lonely because of that. And I went back like a dog to its vomit, back to these same people, expecting them to make me feel like I'm worthy of being a friend. And all I was a very fat wallet. And I made sure they had a great time on my dime. But eventually I woke up and realized that these people were here sponging off of me. I was the one contributing to them. They were doing nothing but sucking off the things that I was sharing: money, my time, my resources. So you have to be careful. You have to guard yourself. Many of you probably have questionable friendships and relationships that would probably be beneficial for you to end. They keep dragging you back to a lifestyle, a vice, something that's holding you back. And I want to remind you that living well is hard to get there. Once you're there and you identify living well, what is living well? You're not worrying about the inflationary rate that's going up. You're not worried about how many people is going to lose their job because you don't need a job. You can help other people. You're so blessed. You know somebody that's in your family or a real friend, and maybe they're down and out. This skill set will allow you to help them, and you won't even think about doing it. It'll just be like, what do you need? But you don't need to tell them, yeah, I made $25,000 this week trading NASDAQ. But that's what it feels like you have to do. You feel like you have to do those things for people to recognize your significance, your worth, your value as a person. And that's not true. That's you still sipping on the whiskey of the world because you think that's the language you need to speak in, and it's not. Eventually, over time, your friends and family and coworkers and people on social media that you pal around with, when you start getting good at this, they're going to withdraw from you because you're showing visible change. You're no longer, well, like one of them anymore. And they see it, they feel it. And now they're going to feel this separation from the norm. And they don't want to step out of that because they don't have the skill set to make changes and grow with you like you are, finding success like you are, a direction in life that they don't have. You can't just sit down with these individuals and say, I know I'm going to be successful. I don't know how to explain it. I just know I'm going to keep working at it and I know it's going to be mine. I've seen enough evidence to know that all I have to do is keep working towards it. It's not a fraud. It's not contrived. It's not fake. I've seen receipts not only in my own hands, but in others, and they're making real money. It's reasonable. It's reasonable to feel like you want to share your progress, your aspirations, your desires, your direction in life. It's normal because we're human. We're social creatures. That's what the creators made us like. We strive in pursuing those types of interactions with other people. But in trading, you have to be an island unto yourself. You have to be a solitary creature. You have to know that you're okay all by yourself with your model, your approach to trading, and you're limiting outside influences. That's why I tell you, once you figure out what it is that you're doing and you're consistent with it, tune me out. The worst thing you can do is start tinkering with something that works in your hands. Unfollow me. Don't watch my videos. Don't talk about me on the internet. Don't go and try to see what everybody else is talking about. Who cares? What I'm saying to you right now to find making money in these markets, all kinds of different ways of doing it. You've already been taught how to do that. But what you have to learn is who you are in the process. You have to determine where you're going with all this. And unfortunately, most people come here and they want a flash in the pan success story. Give me something direct, short, obvious, one, two, three, ABC, and it's going to work every day. And I don't have to risk a whole lot of money. And by the way, buy me a prop firm account so I won't have to invest in anything either. Does that sound realistic? But that's what people email me for all the time. They ask me directly on X. If I did that to everyone that ever asked me, I would be broke. And I have a lot of money. Just think about that now. So you don't you don't have any obligation at all. It doesn't make you poor in spirit as a person for you to deny other people knowing what you're doing. You don't owe anybody an explanation where you're at, what you're doing, what you're spending your time on. You don't have to do those things. And if you lose them as a friend, were they really your friend? Your family's going to love you no matter what, but your sister, sibling rivalry is a natural thing, just like in the wild. They love you, but they don't want to see you doing better than them. Sounds like a oxymoron, right? How can you say you love me, but you don't want to see me do good? You don't want to see me do better. And in your heart, in your mind, you're thinking, they feel like that now, but once I get successful, they know me. I will gladly, and think about it, you would do everything in your power once you're successful. Your brother, your sister, your parents, your friends, even your coworkers. Carl, he would say, wow, I never expected this from you. Like, I'm impressed. Look, I've been a jerk all these years. Is there any way, I apologize, but is there any way that you can just like give me some tips on where to go with that? On social media, you would say, F Carl. But in that instance right there, the least expected person that you would ever expect to hear that from, you would retort with, sure, man, this is what I did. Because that person gave you what you want from your own friends and family. The least expected individuals. And that's why I converse with trolls, because many of them turn out to be really great students. And their testimony to me in private is much more compassionate than they would share openly. And they see the errors of their ways. They see that they just were sucked into the world. They were drunk on the whiskey of the world, sharing their misery. And you stick at this for any length of time, and you find success, you find continuity in what you're doing, and you discover all these, I want to do this real fast and make lots of money right now, goes away. And you learn that living well has always been the goal, but you've inflated it. You've inflated it to materialism. You've inflated it to, I have to look the part. I could be walking down the street and you would never look at me and know what my net worth is. You would never know where I live, what I own, what I could afford. When I was younger, I looked like I could own a whole lot more than I actually could. And that's a normal thing. That's normal. But when you mature as a trader, investor, entrepreneur, you lose the interest because really, what do you're asking for attention from people that don't really matter. You're walking down the street, these people are not going to have dinner with you. You're not going to meet their family. You're not going to do anything, beyond just maybe glance, nod your head, take a compliment from them or whatever. That's it. You realize how superficial and shallow that is? But when you don't have any reason for people to do that for you, you want it because you think it's going to make you feel significant. When knowing this skill set in your hands will feed you, it will feed your family. It is roots that you're pressing down deep in the earth on that family tree, that legacy of wealth, that you're the core, you're the trunk, you're the foundation of everything beyond you. That's the perspective you should have. That's how you should think about yourself and what you're doing. Not, I want to get a payout so bad. If I could just get some money right now, what would you do with it? Say you got lucky and you got a windfall payout of $25,000. How foolish would you be with that money? Be honest. What's the first thing you're going to go out there and waste it on? And what will that do for you in your present skill set and development as a trader? How much regret would you have looking back a year later if you did that very thing that you're hoping to do? I wish, I wish I had the money I blew just in my first year. Forget everything else. Just the first year. Wasteful. And you can't go back and fix it. The only thing you're going to be impulsive. People are going to inspire you to act a certain way, to talk a certain way, to behave a certain way. And if it doesn't put money in your pocket or protect the money in your pocket, then why do it? Image, pomp, status. I can't spend that. That doesn't put any meat on my plate. It doesn't fill my glass. And I can't fill anybody else's glass with it either. So what good is it? It's the flesh. It's the desire to want to be viewed as better than you really are. And people that don't have it strive for it more than anyone else. And the people that do have it, the people that really can afford the things out of life, they don't care because they're comfortable, they're content with enough. Over time, what'll happen? It always works out this way. Those individuals that leaned in with that alcohol breath, with their whiskey whispers, you're going to fail. You're wasting your time. Don't do that. Eventually, they painfully have to recognize that you make it, that you no longer are one of them anymore. And they are nothing like you. They still have to go to work. And while that's not something that's terrible, people have to work. Word says, unless a man works, he can't eat. But you don't have to slave for someone else. You don't have to report the duty and ask for your time off. You get to do what you want to do on your own schedule and spend your money that you make by your own hands however you want. And their whiskey whispers turn to bourbon blues. And they regret that they didn't ask you then. What keeps you motivated to still do this right now? How do you know that you're not going to be successful? Because maybe that would have been an uncomfortable question to be asked even in the beginning, but it's a whole lot less offensive than you're going to waste your money, you're going to waste your time. That's usually the response. Because people that are watching other people make changes in their life for the better, that's an uncomfortable thing because it puts a spotlight on them, showing them that you're not doing enough. But because they have no direction, they have no answer for it, and they're drunk from the wine of the world. Whining about, woe is me, inflation, woe is me, Trump's doing this, woe is me, the Democrats that, woe is me, the people coming in our country, woe is me, jobs aren't here, woe is me, property values are going up. You know how much time people that do well in this worry about those types of things? Next to nothing. Why? Why? Because they're not worried about where their next meal is going to come from. They're not worried about the skill set that they've acquired stopping in terms of effectiveness. They're not worried about anything changing in the world of investing. You're all fearful of AI. You know what AI is going to do? Nothing. Because it's already doing it now. It's been doing it since electronic trading. You're acting as if this is somehow, it's going to take away your ability. It's not going to do anything. The only thing that can happen is more people be involved and that liquidity is increased. So all that's doing is making more in terms of in reach all these things that you have in mind for goals. So let me ask you a question. Are you still drunk? You still doubt yourself? You sobering up slowly, but you still get that buzz from the world's whiskey? Or do you have the bourbon blues right now because you're impatient? You can't let it happen organically. Remember, you're cutting yourself off from the rest of the world that can't see things like this. Investing in yourself. It doesn't make sense to the average person. It didn't make sense to me. I wanted something better in life. I didn't want to work for someone else. Every time my wife and I take a road trip, I don't know why I ask the same questions, but I'm hoping that she's going to give me a different answer on certain things because, women are kind of fickle about that. And they guard their responses about this, that, and the other thing. But I ask her all the time, what was your first job? What did you do? What were the first 3 jobs that you had? And I actually listed, I had 32 jobs. Think about that. I could name 32 places where I was employed. Now, mind you, some of these jobs were literally walking in the door saying, heck no, I'm out the door. And the same day I'm going. One of them I stepped in and I was like, oh no, I can't be here. And I walked out. But the majority of them were like 1 or 2 days and thinking, I can't do this. This isn't for me. And I revealed on X, I think it was yesterday, when I was a 17-year-old, I was working as a bricklayer. And really all I was a humper. I would just take the block, grab it with the clamps, and then lift it up to the guys on the scaffold above me. So you were the grunt. I was the grunt. And I worked that for a summer. And it paid okay. It was the most I ever made at that time. I was only 17, right at high school. So, but I did a lot of menial jobs. And I told my wife, I said, back then, if anybody would have told me, learn to invest in yourself, I would have just blew it off. I didn't know where I was going in life. I just knew I wanted a white collar job, not the things I was doing. And I couldn't wait to learn how to do what I was teaching myself from 6th grade, which was code. And that way I could direct a team of coders as a systems analyst. That was my pursuit. So it wasn't heavy lifting. It was all mental things I was trying to do. But telling me then, just like my uncle tried to tell me, I was 14, 15, and 16 years old every Sunday at grandma's house, which was my house. 1 Victoria Road in Cardboard City. That's what they called it. The whole neighborhood looked like it was made out of cardboard boxes. It was old Martin Marietta staff, the military. That's basically what they were, military barracks and stuff. So there wasn't a whole lot of money invested in building them. And eventually it was sold off to the private sector, and then people started renting them. And that's where I was raised as, in that neighborhood. And on Sundays, my uncle would tell me, the richest people in the world, Michael, trade futures and options. Get yourself a job as an electronic technician. Start trading. You know what I heard? Blah, blah, blah. Ignore him. What's going on down the road? I got to go hang out with my friends. That's what I heard. Sorry, Uncle Stan. But the point is those seeds were being distributed to me at the age of 14, and I didn't even know it. Maybe you thought about trading. Maybe you thought about it, was inspired by hearing about it, and you're like, it's probably too difficult. I don't have any money to do it anyway. Until now, where less than $100 can get you in the door through these funded account companies. And you're seeing not only my students, but other people, different walks of life, different schools of thought, different approaches to trading. They go online, they share, this is what I just got paid out with. I love seeing that. I don't agree with the whole prop firm model, but hey, if that's the way you're going to skin the cat and that's the only way you got, then hey, go for it. Who am I to say that money ain't spendable? It's if it gets deposited in your bank, guess what that means? It's green just like mine is. But anybody that makes a profit in trading, I always awesome because that's what inspired me in the beginning. I didn't have inner circle trader to look up to. I had just Larry Williams with a 10,000 to $1 million in 1 year. That's what I was looking at. And when you're first starting out, as much as you want it, that's still a very big mountain looking up, thinking, this is what I have to measure up to. This is what success looks like. I have to do that or I'm not successful. That's how I was beating myself up. It would have been so much easier for me as a starting point, a humble beginning. But that's not what I was thinking. I was not thinking like that. That was the result of me finding a very simple approach to trading in the bond market. And I adopted this mindset that if I could make $250 a week and don't spend it and just pull it out and save it, preferred the immediate gratification of calling myself rich, calling myself independent, no longer needing a job. I pushed it literally 20 years ahead, a little less than 20 years, but roundabout. I'm not saying you have to do that, but I had to do that to hide myself from the pressure of looking like I had to do what Larry Williams did to be considered successful. As a 20-year-old, self teaching, buying up all kinds of stuff, wasting money that I did not have, couldn't afford it. I didn't have prop firm stuff that you have today. But truth be told, I would have wasted thousands of dollars doing it back then too. I would have poured money into it, chasing this, chasing that, because I wanted to escape the world. The world was a constant reminder that I wasn't enough. My life wasn't satisfying enough. And losing my wife was the cherry on top. Because if I was worth anything, she wouldn't have left, right? That's how I internalized it. And it wasn't me. She's had 20 different partners since me, married several times. And I'm not knocking her. I'm just saying that I took it personal back then. And you take things like that in your own life personal too, and you dwell on it. And that's the baggage that you bring to trading. They're all the things that I talk about in these boring lectures that you think are just pointless rants. Saw a guy here this morning saying, I wish you would stay on point because I like listening to you and I like learning from you, but you talk about things that don't matter. They matter more than you realize, young man. I promise you that because everyone that's finding success masters all of their own personal baggage, all the trappings that you carry every day when you go to work, when you're traveling back and forth, commuting to work or university, the things that you're thinking about when nobody's talking to you, the things that you're fearful of. You have to wrestle that into submission. You have to do that. I can't fix it for you. Nobody else can fix it for you. Your broker isn't going to help you out and say, hey, look, we saw you had a string of losses here and you drew down about 30% of your account today. How's everything going on the home front? You and the missus okay? Your kids doing all right? Oh, they're not? Well, listen, we're going to replenish your account because, you deserve it. It's a lot of pressure on one guy. Come on. We're not here to hurt you. So we're just going to give you some money and fill in that void that he's created for your equity. That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. So when I talk to you, you're talking to someone on X, in posts to me on my videos, in emails to me that I rarely ever open. Not because I don't like you, not because I'm trying to dismiss all you, but I just get too many of them, and I can't, I can't do it. But sometimes the titles usually do get me, and I'll open them up. That doesn't mean I'm going to reply to you, but I know what I've been through. I know what I put myself through. And I know that I'm not the only person, I'm not the exception. So I know that I used all these hurtful things to myself, thinking I'm going to motivate myself. Like in the 80s, when I was working out and I tried to be a bodybuilder, and I got as big as I could without steroids, and I started contemplating taking steroids. I was in World Gym. The guys were in there shooting it up, and even asked me, "Hey, look, we'll give you a first gear of it. You tell us you want to keep coming for it." I was like, "I'm gonna get back to you." Before I even got home, I already said in my mind, "I'm going to do it." And I was the biggest of my friends. That weird desire to be freakishly big just jumped in my head one day because I saw these monsters in the gym with me. And I didn't feel inferior next to them. I was inspired by them. Like I was like, man, I want to have traps like that. I want my lats to flare out like I'm carrying carpets. You ever see these guys that walk around and they have all air underneath their arms? We call them carpet carriers. Roll up carpet. There's nothing under their arms holding their arms out, but they're doing it. Okay, trying to act like their lats are flared out there than they really are. But these monsters look like manta rays, like on two tree trunks for legs. Like it was freakish. They were big, huge. And honestly, looking back now, it's not as appealing. But when you're young and impressionable as a teenager, you think, wow, I want to look like that. They're a giant. They're a hero. I want to look like these people. And then when you see people in the trading world and they take down big wins, they do something astonishing and commendable, really. No matter what style of trading they do, even if it was guessing, even if it was over leveraging, how are you going to knock someone taking hundreds of thousands of dollars out of the marketplace, whether it be through fund account companies or the real market? How can you how can you conceive the position of you talking bad about that when you can't even scrape up 1/10 of what they just made? That's just it's the whiskey on your breath. That's all that is. You got the bourbon blues. And that's what social media does to people that are weak minded. And you may not think this way openly and talk about it openly. You may not agree with me. You may not heart my comments when I talk this way. But I'm certain that you know that what I just said is the truth. There's nothing good in social media, it's not inspirational. You want what other people have because you're coveting. But really, what you're doing is you're torturing yourself, but you're mislabeling it as you're so inspirational to me. No, no, it's not. No, it's not. It's not inspiration. You are pressuring yourself and you don't even realize it. You're placing so much pressure on yourself personally to live up to unrealistic expectations of yourself that you don't even have the skill set yet because you haven't been working at it hard enough yet and long enough yet to be able to have the skill set to work towards doing it at all. And subconsciously, you know that, but you hurry up and flip the description and call it inspiration because you're caught now worshiping other people. And some of you, you do that to me, and it's wrong. I put my pants on just like the rest of you. I wear most of the time I'm wearing Hey Dudes as shoes. Okay. When I was younger, my all my shoes cost $400 or higher. And if they got a little bit of dirt on them, I throw them away. Wasteful. Wasteful. Some of you had the wonderful opportunity to be so much better as an ambassador for what I have created than even myself. That's what I tell my kids. I want you to be better than me. Gentlemen, in life, if you're blessed to have a son or sons, they're going to realize eventually one day that there was one person, one man in the world that honestly, sincerely, from the heart, wanted them to be better than that man. And that man is you as their dad. If you've been